We are live.
Yay! I am Adwd, and he is
Richard York, Asher's trueborn son, and this is Dance 66, Tyrion 12.
all
Tyrion
fair
joins the
use
Second
laws are
Sons.
respect, and there will be spoilers ahead.
This is Tyrion joining the Second Sons is basically what happens in this chapter. So that's actually not a bad summary, although I can give a really detailed summary if you want.
I think we probably, when applicable, they've read the story. If they're watching us, the 4 people that watch us have read the story. They either vaguely remember or they can look in their book to the chapter that we're covering. But that is a really good short. Not to mention we're going to be going through a couple of things in here, so it would expand on that.
Yep. I don't know how much more detail you want. I've got a detailed summary if we want a detailed summary. But anyway,
Tyrion joining the Second Sons is good enough to cover the chapter because
pretty much.
Pretty much.
I mean, you could if you want to summarize the beginning, middle, and end, you would say he's doing the contract signing, and then he goes to look at the weapons, and there's some obvious interactions and things that are lots of things happen in the middle, and including with Penny, and then Jorah says they're going to die if they don't switch sides, and Tyrion says, "Yeah, I know that. Don't worry about it. I got it covered."
Pretty much. Yep.
Pretty much.
Well, the way we're going to go forward, instead of doing the read all the way through and talking about stuff as it comes up, with other big channels having to take down their read-throughs because of copyrights, and with the way they're doing it and the way we did it is not covered under fair use. It is hey, Mother Roy. Hey, Christy.
Christopher will be late. Good evening, Kirsty, and hello, Mother Roy.
Yay! So what we're gonna do is we'll give a quick kind of overview, and then I think the anything in the chapter that is potential theory material or supports a theory, or maybe supports a theory, or is some either foreshadowing or George repeating himself with certain things. An example of the repeating would be the dog head on the head of a spear. We have armored dog head.
Okay.
So
he tries to create parallels to different storylines throughout and so forth, right?
Yeah.
So,
but if you
there's kind of an Orwell reference. Some animals are more equal than others from Animal Farm. That's kind of in there, right? He talks about how they're only paying like 10% of their people. And they say some are more equal than others, and something like that. So that's kind of a George Orwell Animal Farm reference. Tyrion definitely wishes.
I read Animal Farm back in school and don't remember anything about it.
I don't think I can quote anything else from Animal Farm besides that. That's like the most famous line from the book, I think.
Now I can look at a comic book cover that I read in 6th grade up or whatever, and see the cover of it and tell you exactly what happens in that comic book. But books, man, no.
Yeah, like I said, I'm not going to catch everything. I'm nowhere near, but when I happen to notice something, I try to mention it. So anyway, so Tyrion, we mentioned this before, but Tyrion wishes he could witness them trying to claim this payment after his death, right? And I thought, given
last night.
Yeah, that's not the only time that he thinks about taking his own death in this chapter, by the way. He thinks about that later on in the chapter as well, which is, it's kind of the fact that George brings that up twice is extremely suspicious.
Especially with him joining a sellsword company after being in the presence of John Con, who in a sellsword company faked his
And they're
death.
both bitter steel self-sword companies, and he binds himself with blood to this one. And does so remembering to prick his fingers and thinking of the half-maester at the same time, right? So it's really tying them together. But he's also tying this to Jaime.
I predict that he will fake his death. That Tyrion of House
Yeah,
Lannister will have
it's
died in the
there.
Battle of
And
Marine,
and as you
and then
said,
the
as you said
repercussions of
last
that.
night, we actually talked about this last night on the phone, right? Because we were like,
Yeah,
oh, Friday's the holiday. We need to do this on Thursday. And you brought up the fact that there's all this Tyrion fake death in this chapter, um, creates this nice parallel to the fact that yes, Sansa is Tyrion being a bigamist, but there's also this concept that Sansa doesn't want to get married until Tyrion is dead to try and avoid being a bigamist, and Ned deliberately fakes his wife's death to become a bigamist, which is then referred to by the House of the Dragon. But anyway,
yeah. Well, I mean, they're both Starks, Sansa and Eddard. And I know those out there that are R plus L equal J aren't paying any attention to our theories when it comes to Ned and Ashara and John, but we think Ned and Ashara married.
I've definitely had people
John,
say, wait a
yeah,
minute, just because I've had people say when I mentioned, you know, that Ned and Ashara could be married, but I'm crazy and R plus L equals 2 people won't worry about what I've had people say. Well, those aren't exclusive, right? Like that could both be true. You can have R plus L equals J and the bigamy and the Starks being illegitimate and John being as legitimate or more legitimate than the other Starks. Like those can all be in sync, right?
right.
It doesn't disprove
it doesn't
that.
matter if R plus L equals J, N plus A equals J, or B plus A equals J. Ned
you can still have
married to Ashara, doing exactly
right.
what Rob did, marrying
and
a
thus
highborn
and thus being and thus his official children being no more legitimate than John, right?
Exactly.
And so anyway, yeah, you've also got
but the Littlefinger thinking that if it's announced to the world that Tyrion dies at the Battle of Marine, he fakes his death, Littlefinger will think he's dead. Sansa's free. I can do what I need to do with her. Whether that if Harry the Heir
it's great.
By
It's great. It's a different bigamy parallel to Tyrion's bigamy is similar to Aegon IV's bigamy, and the reason that the reason that Daemon Blackfire then becomes like Richard III, declaring, there's a secret marriage here, and we've talked about that and the fact that you don't have a secret fake marriage, you have a secret real marriage. And so the fact that something convinced Daemon Blackfire that he needed to rebel, and that George is obsessed with Richard III, and that there's this secret marriage of Aegon IV, and you're supposed to realize, George loves Richard III. That's what's going on here, right?
Right.
See Trip the Dragons episode 1.
If Ned is a parallel of Richard III, he has to have that bigamy in there. And Ned says, I dishonored Catelyn in the sight of gods and men,
which refers to the vow.
Yeah. The only way he could have dishonored her in the sights of gods and men is by saying his wedding vows if he was still married to Ashara. And we have Southerners don't think of a marriage done in front of a heart tree is a legitimate marriage. So Hoster Tully could be like, you're not really married according to us. Whereas, you're marrying my daughter, or you're not getting married.
On the Nodcast podcast, they've talked about the fact that George actually was really upset with the show when they had Rob get married in a sept, and saying that no true Northerner would get married in a sept, and they're like, which is kind of weird considering that Ned got married in a sept, and we're like, yes, that's the point, that it's not a true marriage in the eyes of the North, right? So anyway, well, one of the things I keep trying to get to, and I keep forgetting, or we interrupt and go diverge, is that Tyrion is being tied to Jaime in this chapter as well. He's signing what is essentially the White Book to become a member of a brotherhood, and so that could be a reference also to what we seem to be the only ones to talk about, this idea that George consistently has people swear that they're going to kill someone that they don't really want to kill, whether that is Bran or Rickon or the Mountain or Davos, right? He's consistently having people say they're going to kill someone and fake their death, as we saw with Bran and Rickon and the Mountain and Davos, right? And in fact, it's harder to find an example of someone who says I'm going to kill someone and does than it is to find an example of someone who says I'm going to kill someone and then fakes their death. It's weird to me how few people seem to ever even discuss this option, given how difficult it is to find a counterexample.
Well, the only example we have, and it's not somebody that says, well, I mean, the way Joffrey feels about the North, it kind of foreshadowed it. But Joffrey killing Ned, having Ned killed, George.
But that's the opposite. But that's the opposite. Everybody is telling everyone that he's not going to kill him, and then he does, right? That's still not the same thing as saying telling everybody I'm going to kill this person, and then telling everybody you did kill this person, but the reality you didn't kill the person.
The only person that got killed when someone said I'm going to kill him is Ned. Everybody else has been saved. George set it up at the very beginning. Oh, nobody's safe, and everybody's had plot armor on, pretty much.
Right, and I can't remember which of our handful of followers said it, but one of them said it's almost as if the truth died with Ned, right? That the truth of killing people died with Ned.
Right. And I mean, we firmly say, unless we see it on the page, we don't believe it. It's when it comes to deaths.
So I'm really surprised that there isn't more of an embrace of the theory in the fandom that Jaime. Everybody wants there to be a parallel with Tyrion and his trial, but Kat, while she did want to put Tyrion on trial, and I've made the mistake of saying that she didn't, but that's not really what I meant. She was opposed to the concept of trial by combat, and even after her sister had announced that he had that right, she and the Blackfish were arguing with Lysa that trial by combat is stupid and you shouldn't do this. And Catelyn was opposed to trial by combat and said, it's not too late. It's not too late. It doesn't matter that you announced that he has this right. It doesn't matter that you've said this. It's not too late. You don't have to go through with this. And so Catelyn was opposed to trial by combat in the first book. And yet the dominant theory out there is that a person who denied combat to merit, who denied any trial to Merit Frey, who denied any trial to Pod, who denied any trial to Hyle Hunt, who denied any trial to Brienne of Tarth, and who was opposed to trial by combat for Tyrion, is going to suddenly grant trial by combat to Jaime Lannister when she's heard the Jaime Lannister sends his regards thing. She's going to suddenly be more open to trial by combat? Really? Really?
Well, yeah, I think about this too. Her and Jaime had a short rapport of honesty. And Jaime confessed to everything that was true and denied the lie. And she believed it once he said it. He said the same thing Tyrion said. Then she figured out, okay, Littlefinger lied to me type situation. Jaime and her kind of have this short little thing where if she asks Jaime the truth, she's going to recognize Jaime telling the truth, I think. Even though she's biased and she's not quite Cat anymore.
Well, still I don't know. You're sounding an awful lot like those Redditors that don't believe me when I tell them this, who the comment of, well, no. Now, hear me out. Hear me out. Where the parallel is here. So the parallel, I haven't gotten to that. So I mentioned this. This is what George does. It's consistent. He always does it this way. I don't know why you guys think he's going to do it differently. I don't know why you guys think this person who's consistently opposed to trial by combat is suddenly going to be in favor of trial by combat. Their answer to me was, well, Catelyn's too smart to fall for that. And I'm like, she's too smart to believe Brienne of Tarth is honest and trustworthy. I didn't even respond because they just immediately everybody upvoted that comment and downvoted my stuff, right? And I didn't even bother to respond because it's so stupid. Because I'm not saying Cat isn't smart. I'm saying this idea that she's uniquely smarter than Doran Martell and Tywin Lannister and all the people in Winterfell except for Maester Lewin. You know, and because Maester Lewin's the one that sees through it, but everybody else, everybody else in the North is like, well, maybe sees through it. Maybe he's not the only one who sees through it. Maybe there's Wyman Manderley is asking for specifically songs about people with fake identities. So he clearly knows. He clearly knows. um, but he's told us he knows before that, even, right? He's literally told Davos that he knows before that those deaths were fake. But anyway, so anyway, my point is that you sound, Kat, is smart enough to see the truth there, and meanwhile, people are like, "Well, Kat's so smart; she'd see the truth." And I'm like, "Would she know?"
Well, it's not Kat anymore. You got to remember,
that's that too. No. You're correct. You're talking about. So they're claiming that they would see through that she would be too smart to think that Brienne was dishonest, and I'm like, or she'd be too smart to immediately see Brienne as a dishonest person, and I'm like, that's not who Brienne is. What are you guys talking about?
Well, I mean, she's spent enough time.
You're saying she's smart enough to see that Jaime is an honest person, which is correct. Whereas they're saying she's so smart that she'd see that Brienne is a dishonest person, which is incorrect. So totally different. I get that. I get that those are totally different, but you can understand how I saw the parallel there between those two lines of thinking. Anyway,
getting back to the fake deaths, if all these people that were supposed to be dead aren't dead, and then we have in this chapter twice Tyrion talking about being dead. If he fakes his own death, then why can't Jaime? I told you last night that I'm a Jaime fan. I'm a Jaimeist. But in my fanfic, if there is a trial by combat, even though your comments here probably squashed all that dream, Brienne would give back Oathkeeper, I think, and we know Valyria steals swords. Randall Tarley says,
and they both have Targaryen blood,
right? So if Jaime, with his Targaryen blood, because we think he's secret Targaryen,
Triple Targaryen's episode 5.
Yeah. So even with his left hand, he has the knowledge to fight. Just because he lost his right hand doesn't mean he doesn't know how to punch somebody in the face. Because I mean, they have shield bash with their left hand. I mean, it's not like
his sparring has not been with Valyrian steel, and he is. If you believe Triple Targaryen's episode 5, then Bridge has at least one video on that, and Grayer has at least one video on that as well.
The sword will come alive in his hand, and he will fight as good with his left hand. Because there's foreshadowing in the story. We're hearing about Sir Arthur Dayne being as good with his left as he was with his right. We're hearing about Corn Halfhand being as good with his left as he was with his right. So with the Valyrian steel in his left hand, my dream is that Jaime is as good as he used to be with his right, with his left hand, with Oathkeeper in his hand. So if there's a trial by combat,
there could be magic with Valyrian steel, and it might even be tied to Valyrian steel with someone who has, maybe you have to have Dawn blood House Dayne blood to use Dawn, right?
Well, I mean that's one of the leading theories is, well, not leading, but I heard it that the people that were at the Tower of Joy have certain blood. They do a lot of inbreeding, keep the blood pure, just like the Targaryens did.
This is an American thing.
Right. Yeah, the American thinks that House Dayne, they have a connection to Dawn. Dawn gives the wielder of it the ability to read the minds or the potential moves of the people that they're fighting. And to keep that power in their blood strong, they did the same thing that House Targaryen did, a lot of inbreeding. And to access Dawn, you would need that Dane magic blood. We get the for like with Hightowers for the genetics of dragon blood, the DNA that I think Preston Jacobs is the one that did it. For Aegon and Aemon to be dragon riders, Alicent Hightower has to have something magical about her blood.
Right. And we've talked about how the Order of the Green Hand used to have a great video talking about how if you look carefully, there's this hint at the specific year that that the Civil War really began, and it's 50 years earlier. And they said, well, nothing happens that year except that Sarah Targaryen goes to Old Town. So how is that planting the seeds for the Civil War? Well, it's planting the seeds of the Civil War if Alicent Hightower is in fact Sarah Targaryen's child, right? And so,
There's
so
a
then
couple of
that,
ways that he has magic blood.
yeah. So anyway, I always liked that
Yeah.
video, and they were saying, Preston's theory is great if Alicent is a Targaryen, and we've got this line that tells us when the seeds were planted for the rebellion, and it happens to line up with the year that nothing happens except that Sarah Targaryen goes to Old Town. Huh.
Yeah.
And so you put that together and you ask the question, well, why did George think it was really important that Alicent looked exactly like Sarah Targaryen? What is he telling us there? Why is he telling us in the text that the year that Sarah Targaryen went to Old Town is when the seed for the rebellion happened? Like,
Right.
why is that?
But I agree. He's had to plant certain female Targaryens, like going back and adding another Daenerys into the Martell line. The female passes the gene to the Dragon Riders or the Dragon Hatchers, and if if we're correct, and Daenerys is Rhaegar and Lyanna's daughter, because he was making 3, he already had a girl and a boy, he needed a girl. If there's only one baby born, it should be Daenerys. For a Targaryen,
see, Trip Dragons episode 4.
Yeah, for a Targaryen male and a Stark female, there has to be something magical about her blood. When we're told that she has wolf blood, Brandon had more of it. She bonds with horses. It's excellent on horseback. I mean, it's the skin changing esque gene that the female carries and gives to both male and female children. So it doesn't pass through the male line. And the the Stark children, for them to all be skin changing wards, they had to get it from their mother. So that's where the Tully to the Lawston went to Lawston to track the female magical blood. I know we're getting way off topic on this, but
yeah, we probably need to get back. It's not just that we went way off topic. We went way off topic on me going off topic on talking about Jaime, and then you going off topic from there. So.
And as soon as you said Jaime, I lift off my seat about.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Speaking of that,
all right. I do want to talk.
There's one more thing I want to point out before we get any further, and I don't want to forget it. Okay. Because it's one of my theories that this helps back, and it's very thin and it's very tinfoily. But when he calls Lord Plum, and then he says, your cock is as big as in the stories. Okay.
Right. That's the 6 foot under joke.
In this story that talks about their member being twice as long as his arm. So we have a fake Lord with a big member. And then I say we have a real Lord that's faking not being a Lord, talking about his member, which is Tormund Giantsbane, which I say is Lord Willem Dustin. It was very tinfoily. I wrote it down. I put asterisk beside it because I didn't want to forget to talk about it.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Okay.
No, that's pretty good. That's probably the right place before we talk about the next quote that I want to talk about. That would be another reason why Craster doesn't give daughters, only sons to the others. That he's trying not to give them the Targaryen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. He wants to give them, which I mean, they have the power to reanimate. They use ice. Their tech thing is manipulating ice.
Yes. Well, if you believe he's a Targ, and yes, we believe that the incest in the story is hints at secret Targaryens, and we tend to believe that. Yeah. So, but this is a really strange line, and it's kind of missed, but it makes me wonder whether George really intends something here. I don't understand it, so I want to talk about it. So
Okay.
I don't know what to say about it because I don't understand it. And we'll talk about why I don't understand it. But so
Okay.
once Marine is taken, and I have maybe a theory about this. Once Marine is taken, and we're away to Westeros, you can prance about all you like in Gold and Crimson. So that's strange. So I'm not sure what his plan is. He clearly intends Tyrion to claim his title. We know that. Um, and maybe he's heard about the Golden Company sailing for Westeros. So what's his play here? Like, what's his play? He intends Marine to fall.
Because she's not using dragons. That's the main reason he switched when he found out she
Oh, he
wasn't
thinks they're going to
using
get the dragons, and the dragons like him. Oh, he's intending to take the dragons himself because he knows the dragons like him, and they're
That's why
probably
he's shocked
unlikely.
when Tyrion's like, "I bet the dragons were nice to you," or something like. I don't remember the
Ah,
exact words.
you're right. Tyrion has reinforced him. The fact that Tyrion told him, yes, the dragons like you, and has reminded him the dragons like him. Okay,
Mhm.
I like it. I like it. He's going big. He's going big.
Yeah.
Okay.
The plunder of Marine in his eyes, he switched because Danny wouldn't use the dragons, but the taking the dragons
Oh.
is in the back of his mind. So it's not gold and plunder that he's wanting from Marine when it falls. He's wanting one or two of the dragons.
Huh.
That would guarantee in his mind that the paper that Tyrion signs is going to be fulfilled because they're
Now wait a
going
minute.
to.
So this is before. Interestingly, that's actually a comment that he makes before he gets to the 100,000 dragons, a castle, a lordship, and 50 hides of fertile land.
Mhm.
Now, for those who don't know, a hide is supposed to be the amount of land required for a family to farm. Um,
Mhm.
and you have a hide per family, basically, per farm family,
Right.
basically. And so it's a
What is that?
smaller amount of land. I'm gonna get there. I'm gonna get there. So it's a smaller amount of land if the land is fertile, and the
Mhm.
smallest estimate, which he says fertile land, so that should be the smallest estimate, basically, right? Is 60
Right.
acres historically. That's the smallest estimate. So that fertile land should be the small end of the estimate.
Mhm.
So 60 acres, and he wants 50 hides. So that's about 12 square kilometers or 4.7 square miles.
Okay.
So four more than 4 square miles, so more than 2 miles by 2 miles squared, right? So because two miles by 2 miles squared would be 4 miles, so it's or if you want to go by 12, that's roughly 4 by 3, so roughly 4 kilometers by 3 kilometers if you prefer kilometers. But basically, more than 2 by more than 2 miles. Um,
Mhm.
well over 3 by 3 because that'd be 9 square kilometers and we're 12. So
Mhm.
anyway, terms of kilometers. Anyway, so that's and Tyrion thinks that's not cheap, but then he also wonders if he should pretend to hate it,
Yeah.
right? And and that's when he grimaces and gives the quote that you said
If
about
House Lannister can be $3 million or 3 million gold dragons in debt, indebted by the crown, how much? I mean, there's just. I
yeah,
mean,
this is only 100,000 here. There was what
yeah.
10,000 for each of the top for
And there
Casplorio, the
was
cunning, and
1,000 for
Tibero Istarion, by the way. So
yeah.
Istarion is the Middle Earth term for the Order of Wizards that has 5 wizards, including Gandalf, right? So that's a reference if anybody cares. So
Mhm.
does that mean that Tibero Istarion, aka Inkpots, is actually a wizard? I don't know.
Or the perfume seneschal.
I don't know. It's
I don't know.
interesting that his name is a reference to again the Order of Wizards from Middle Earth. But
Yeah, here's something too on him signing the book to join the Second Sons. If it's a brotherhood that he's joining, he's like, I hated my last brother. Hopefully, my new ones are better. That makes Plum his new father, and he killed his last father. So I don't think
okay.
that bodes well for Plum. To be honest, I don't know if it bodes well for the Second Sons. I mean,
So you
Tyrion's
don't
going to
think
get
that?
rid of him, and then
So
I don't know. Go ahead.
well, I mean, I was thinking that they've done blood magic and he's bound himself to them. But I don't know.
Oh yeah, okay. If ink pots is
He deliberately used blood, but the blood contract is binding him to them.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway. Yeah. I mean, in a world where blood magic is a thing, it's interesting that he chose to do it the old way and to sign in blood.
Well, it's funny that they made them sign in blood originally, binding them to it, but
they realized it didn't work. But of course, magic had faded quite a bit too before they changed.
But we don't know exactly what's in the red ink that he's using. To be honest with you, what if somebody tells you what it is? Two different things.
Yeah,
and
true.
We're told the cook that got his foot cut off and fed to him signed up again. So we're not exactly sure what's going on there. So there might be some dragon kind of magic going on. And then also yesterday we were talking about the half truths. We talked about it for the last couple of weeks about words being hidden by the people that are talking to you for you misunderstanding what they're meaning. And I don't know if it's true, but this is a paragraph that the front half and the second half could be completely different. It's like you will find famous names in here, some from your 7 kingdoms. Aegon Rivers served a year with us before he left to found the Golden Company. Bittersteel, you call it. The Bright Prince, Aeron Targaryen, was a second son, and Roderick Stark, the Wandering Wolf, him as well. It didn't say that both of those served with the second sons. It says that one is a second son and the other one is a second son also.
Which is true, I believe. He wasn't. He wasn't the heir when he did that. I believe that's true. I believe he was considered the spare and not the heir.
Yeah, he was exiled after the Ashford Meadows. His older brother was still.
No. I'm talking about Ned's mother's father.
No, Roderick Stark, the Wandering Wolf, wasn't Ned's mother's father.
Yeah, it was.
He was?
Yep.
Okay. Well, I mean, I know it's rumored that he went.
That's the point. He wasn't the heir at the time. That's my point. He's the second son. He wasn't the heir at the time. So he was wandering and doing stuff like that. But yeah, he's Ned's mother's father. So Ned, they were a cousin wedding. It was a cousin wedding. So they're both Starks, right?
Yeah.
And so he doesn't inherit, actually. He doesn't inherit, but his brother inherits, and his brother's son inherits, and his brother's son, which is, what am I? Rickard. Sorry, Rickard. His brother's son, Rickard, marries his daughter. I think it's his second daughter, actually. Interestingly, and so they have Ned and Lyanna and Benjen, right? And Brandon.
Yeah.
So
what I'm saying is, on the half truths, if you read that paragraph and you're not the person saying it, you're not the person that we are in the head of, the first half of that is almost guaranteed the way it's said. The second half is not. It's not saying, or it can. I mean, it's probably completely meaning that both of them were the second son.
They did. I mean, I think the answer is that they did serve. But yeah, I get your point.
Well, it says and Roderick Stark, the Wandering Wolf, him as well. Him as well meaning second son. Both of those probably served with the second sons, but it's another way that George can hide what he's actually saying, because we assume what's being said is meaning one thing when it can mean something else.
And maybe what's important is actually that they're second sons and not that they're second sons, right?
Exactly. I mean, they're probably served with the second sons, but the way I read it and from what we've been talking about, anytime somebody's talking to
or these are the people he really wants us to know are second sons, not because he wants us to know that they served there, but because he's talking about them as actually being second sons and the importance to the story rather than that they are Anyway,
I mean, like I said, anytime that we're being told something from a character to our point of view character, I now will sit there and go line for line
and what
on
could
what
this
they
be
say and
interpreted as?
see if it can go another way than what the person that is hearing it is in interpreting it the way, because when they say second sons, it's capitalized second sons on Aryan Bright Flame. All right.
Well, and notice that this is tying the two sellsword companies together. It's tying the Second Sons to Bittersteel, who founded the Golden Company, and then remember the line from Tyrion 2. Some contracts are written ink and some in blood. I say no more. Right. And so the implication being that a contract can be more binding if it's written in blood, right? And so then the question becomes, is there some sort of magic cast on the Golden Company by Illyrium Opatus, and has that same magic been used against Tyrion here by Brown Ben and Inkpots, right?
Yeah. Well,
And maybe worse,
if you believe the
Casporio.
theory that the Horned Dragon Binder doesn't bind dragons, it binds people, which there's evidence for it. Everybody at the King's Moot, they hear the blast.
Yeah.
Now all
More
of a
than the
sudden,
other way
you're
around,
on
in
the ground.
fact.
Right. And then he goes to the shields. He tells everybody, we're going to take 1,000 ships to go to Marine to get my Dragon Queen of Dragons. And everybody's like, screw that. And he gets pissed. Because the person that blew the horn died, they're no longer bound to Euron. So now all of a sudden he's got to change his plans.
We probably need to pick up the pace a little bit and go through some more stuff. No, I'm just realizing how far I have notes and how little we made and how little time is left. Sorry about that.
Yep.
So Brad Ben suggests that Penny needs a helmet so that these will look more like boys than dwarves, right? And then Tyrion's later going to try and convince Penny that she needs a full helm, because the whole point is they're supposed to be hiding in their helmets and not look like dwarves. They're supposed to look like little boys who are serving as squires or something, right? So anyway, I just thought that was interesting that it's right there that the motivation for them getting armor is supposed to be to hide Penny. So he's supposed to convince her that she needs a full helm. And I missed that until I got to thinking about the rest of the chapter from that. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute, that's important.
Yeah, well, on the Penny thing, it's
well, thank you, Worm Ranger.
Hey,
Worm. How do you pronounce that?
Good holiday weekend too. On the Penny situation, I am fond of looking at your nose. We was talking about the helm. I would rather that you keep it. Her eyes got big. You like my nose? Are there any other parts of me you like? Perhaps she meant that to sound playful. It sounded sad instead. Okay, on the theory, like I said, I will throw stuff out there, even if it's a theory I don't believe. The Penny is a spy for either probably Littlefinger. Is I think the theory is.
Yep.
Not only she corrects him when he's talking to her about talking about the sellsword company. She's like, you're part of it. You have to say we now. So this mummer dwarf that's lowborn and common is correcting Tyrion's speech. And then she's also might be trying to seduce, but she's sad about it because she doesn't want to.
Okay.
And then originally she tried to kill him. That failed. And then her killing him frees up Sansa. There's a reason for her to kill him that we're told. And the theory is now she's spying on him. I don't know. I don't believe the theory, but if there's something in there that could be added to support that theory, I'm obligated to point it out. But her correcting him, I think it's odd.
I think it may be that she started off as being hired by, or at least a pawn being moved by Littlefinger to execute Tyrion, right? So that's definitely possible.
He could have been responsible for her brother being killed.
Littlefinger, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, that would
He
help
would know
to
where they
motivate her.
landed,
Yeah,
when they left
yeah, he
his
knows how to
land.
motivate people.
Yeah.
Absolutely, that makes a lot
He
of sense.
brought them in. He might have been responsible for them getting out. He knows where they are. Now there's this Tyrion's in the wind. Now Littlefinger's got to
Oh,
do something to get him killed.
there's a few things before that I definitely want to talk about.
Yeah,
Um,
go ahead, go ahead.
Hey, I mean that was related because I was mentioning that that this is telling us that this thing down later in the chapter, those two are actually connected, and I had missed that in my previous most if not all of my previous rereads. Um,
Right.
Lord Ranger, I'm doing really well today. Thanks for asking. Hope you're doing well too.
Yeah, man,
Um,
I appreciate it.
so Tyrion, there's a George puts in the lions are cats and cats have 9 lives joke, which whatever. Anyway, it's kind of funny, but it's anyway. Um, Now, with Chem, George again reminds us you can tell where people are from by their accent,
Mm-hmm.
almost as if Tyrion is going to meet an important character with a false backstory soon, where our author has told us where she's really from by her accent. See Triple Detectives episode 4.
And check this out. Sansa is almost outed because of her backstory, and she can't support it with
Yep.
the guy from Goldtown. So she said, I have to be
Yes.
really careful around this guy. She don't know shit about Goldtown.
Yep. Yep. She says, I remember Goldtown. She says fondly or something like that, right? And she's like, I gotta be careful. Anyway,
Yep.
there's this weird thing where Tyrion makes up. It's kind of a funny exchange where Tyrion makes up this. There's no one clever as a King's Lander statement, which is part of the real history. Milk brothers were a thing. Some cultures considered it so sacred you could inherit everything as if you were the heir or trueborn son. So John being Dane Milk brother could get him Dawn. Late comment. My phone died. I hate that. Anyway.
Sorry about that.
No, that's interesting. Of course, I mean, I agree that there is Dane blood in R plus L. I just and there's a lot of Dane blood if Toodles is right. In fact, if John is R plus L, or if John and Danny are R plus L, or if Val, John, and Danny are R plus L, it would make a lot more sense for Toodles' theory that it's not R plus L, it's R plus L plus A, right? His child of 3 idea that you actually have to have 3 parents, and I've always talked about how child of 3 reminds me of the Red Sky. Have I mentioned the Red Sky? I think I mentioned it literally yesterday.
Yep.
So anyway, for those brief recap, there's a legendary High King of Ireland called the Red Sky. He was a product of incest. He had 3 fathers. They were triplets. He looked like each triplet. The triplets did not look at anything alike. 1/3 of him looked like one of the triplets. 1/3 of him looked like another of the triplets, and 1/3 of him looked like another of the triplets. So he's a literal child of 3. He comes to power after a 5-year gap called the Interregnum. If you know anything about George and the Thousand Worlds, you realize the Interregnum is like the most important period, the name of the most important period in the history of Thousand Worlds. And George wanted there to be a 5-year gap before Danny comes to power.
Yeah.
Just saying. Anyway.
Well, if N plus A equals J, then John has Dane blood. If R plus L,
but for it to give the symbolism of Dane blood, it would be even better if it's actually R plus L. So totally agree that there is Dane blood in there. Not saying there isn't, but I'm saying it would be much more symbolic if, in fact, the R plus L person who wields Dawn actually was R plus L plus A. That Toodles was right, and they were a literal child of 3.
right? But if R plus L equals J, and that's it. If Wyla,
there still is. Yeah.
Dane is a
Dane.
And
you've got the Milk brother. Yeah.
You got the Milk brother. If she passed on Dane's special something with mother's milk, with Wyla's Dane blood, then there should be something, like she was saying, something special in John that is connected to House Dane, and not in the way that we think.
And Jamie's left hand symbolism also ties to witches and the devil being the spawn of, or the hand of, in his case. And of course, there's a Latin term for that, and that is sinister. Anyway, that means left. Sinister just means left. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Sinister literally just means left. And
Oh,
Dexter
also
would be
something
right.
else. Tyrion yanks her up by the wrist to get her out of bed and then throws clothes at her. Is she sleeping naked?
She might be in her small clothes. I don't know.
Because I mean, isn't Arya and Gendry and all of them naked as a name day in that bed at the end of the crossroads?
I don't know. Maybe.
I don't know. It's just something else on the maybe Penny is
She
a
might.
spy.
Okay. You know what? I actually had put the quotes about that, but anyway, there's no one clever as a king's lander, they say. Since when? Since I just made it up. For ages, he lied. Anyway, we learned that Kem fought with Stannis, and we got the Singer Stew stuff. He calls him Half Man, right?
See, I mean, this the Second Sons and a Kim versus a Lim reminds me of the Brotherhood without banners.
Okay.
So I think there's some parallels with you got the Kingsguard, the Second Sons, the Brotherhood without banners, the Brothers of the Night's Watch.
So I think he's
the thing
calling him
that always
Half Man
repeats
to
himself-
prove that he was there. I think he calls him Half Man to prove that he was there. That he wants Tyrion to know. No, I'm not lying to you, dude. I was really there. And but the
I
this
didn't catch that.
when
I didn't catch him calling him Half Man proof that he was there. But you're right.
Yeah. He slips that in. He's saying half. He starts calling him Half Man because it's clearly
3 times.
Yeah. Well, anyway, but he says he asked him what he misses when he calls him Half Man, right? And that's part of, and that's really important what he answers here. So I'm going to quote this sentence anyway. Jamie thought Tyrion. What's not really a sentence? I guess it's a series of sentence fragments with the periods and stuff. But anyway, Jamie thought Tyrion. Shay, Tysha, my wife. I miss my wife, the wife I hardly knew. But he hardly knew either of his wives. But it sounds. There is a period there as if he's moved on to the next name, right?
Right.
So Jamie period, Shay period, Tysha period, my wife. But of course, he has 2 wives that he hardly knew. So it's interesting that he settles on my wife, and there's a period between Tysha and my wife. And then it's not a period as he says. I know.
Because my wife is a description of Tysha.
I know.
In the same sentence.
It could be that he's missing Sansa.
Yeah. I agree. George
Isn't that interesting? It's really interesting. We don't know who he's missing. We don't know whether he misses Tysha or he misses Sansa or which one he misses more. That's really interesting to me. Anyway.
I failed English in high school. I sucked at it. But George is sneaky where he puts commas, where he doesn't put commas, where he puts periods. I mean,
it's really interesting that he may want the readers to think that Tyrion misses Tysha while he's actually telling us that Tyrion misses Sansa. That might be what he's doing. I'm just saying it's interesting. He might be doing that.
If you stop and think about it, Shay was stolen.
Okay.
And she accepted Tyrion by Wildling rule. Is Shay Tyrion's wife also?
Interesting. And we don't know that she isn't some sort of stolen clansman person or something. I mean, I don't think she is. I think she's a Martell. But anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, he claims he misses wealth to buy wine and women and thinks he'll buy swords. Blah blah blah. Oh yeah. The twisty snakes line. Okay, which reminded me of yesterday's discussion. So Kem calls Lannisters twisty snakes, and Tyrion refers to Tywin slithering, even as he claims that they are lions, which is really interesting. That he's kind of saying, yeah, Tywin was a snake. He's kind of saying,
No.
He says slithering.
He's not talking about Tywin. George is talking about Eric.
About what?
He says, that sound you hear is my Lord Father slithering in his grave. Period.
If he's 1/4 Targaryen, 3/4 Lannister, for example, is what we tend to believe. or and then he has two fathers, and so that one of them is arguably a dragon, which is kind of snake-like creature,
Basically, it's a big. I mean, especially when you see them on
or a
House of
slithering
Dragons,
creature, a
the
slithering
long
creature. Yeah. Okay.
so
Okay. So yeah, we tend to like the Chimera theory, but of course it would also work with the Tyrion Targaryen theory. Either way.
right.
All right.
Either way, it
Interesting.
works.
Yeah.
And then you're gonna read the next sentence after that. We are lions.
He claims they're lions. So go. I don't have it in front of me.
Okay, yeah, we are lions, or so we like to say, but it makes no matter, Kim. Step on a snake or a lion's tail, you'll end up just as dead.
It
So,
makes no matter whether he's a Targaryen or a lion. I like it. Yeah, good point.
because it's both.
Yeah, that's George telling you that he doesn't care whether Tyrion is a dragon or not. Which we
Yeah.
think he might care if Myrcella is a dragon more than if Tyrion is a dragon. Yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
They meet.
Which
So,
would be funny if I don't know if it'd be ironic or not, but our if Tywin is sterile, he's
right. I've
always
heard that
about
theory.
my children, my children, my children. Yeah, I heard
Right.
that the
I've
other
heard
day.
that theory. Yeah, I've heard that theory.
Was it Crusader Chris or Quinn the GM? I can't remember which one I was watching. Well, that was brought up, and I knew we were doing a Tyrion chapter today, so I tried to remind myself, and I remembered. It took me 51 minutes to remember, but I think it would be ironic if all he cares about is legacy and his children, for him to be sterile.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
in the
Now
Chimera,
the problem with that. The problem with that is there seems to be this Lannister-looking prostitute that
right.
people think is Tywin's. So anyway.
I mean, some think that the Asoiaf, whatever her name is, that he has whipped, is possibly his child too. But
Um, they meet Hammer and Nail, and Nail claims it's mostly crap iron, but they're going to get somebody who's going to, we've read this quote before. This paragraph, it's plus sentence, and I think we should read this paragraph plus sentence. I think it's important reintroduction of a formerly broken man. Tyrion literally translates to Royal Tyrion purple, only worn by the royals. Okay, that could support the idea that he's either or
I would
both.
call that
Either.
mic drop right there, wouldn't you?
What's that?
I'd
Yeah,
call
mic
that a
drop.
little
Yeah,
bit
sure.
of a mic drop. That comment for sure.
Sure.
Thank you, Chris.
Um,
What would you call it?
so they're going to get a contradiction of by a somewhat authoritative source here about the claim that's mostly crap. Well, he doesn't disagree that's mostly crap iron. He just because he says you have to look hard and so forth, right? But anyway, a big knight stepped down from the back of a wagon, clad head to heel in company steel. His left greave did not match his right. His gorget was spotted with rust. His vambraces, rich and ornate, inlaid with yellow flowers. On his right hand was a gauntlet of lobster seal. On his left, a fingerless mitt of rusted mail. The nipples on his muscled breastplate had a pair of iron rings through them. His great helm sported a ram's horns, one of which was broken. When he took it off, he revealed the battered face of Jorah Mormont. Right, so he says that there's sound steel here, which doesn't really contradict it, that there's mostly crap, because I think that's right, because he's talking about how you have to look and so forth. But what's more interesting to me is that George puts nipples on his breastplate, and I think it's going to pay off. I really do.
It's got to. That's the Batman.
It's got to. Yeah, exactly. It's got to. There's too many quotes about it for it not to pay off.
Yeah.
He has this demon's mask tattoo that looks frightening, which is interesting. The one broken horn thing is a symbol of like a satanic creature kind of thing too. Is pretty good.
Right. I wonder if Jorah's going to cut off the tattoo like the lady at the Fisherman's Wharf, whatever the lodge at, the old lady that.
I don't think Jorah's going to let anybody cut his face like that, but okay.
I mean, he'd probably take a burn to it.
Maybe if he wanted to get rid of it. Yeah, your point is she wanted to get rid of that. She took that pain because she wanted to unmark herself as a slave. Yeah, maybe he could. Okay, I'll give you that. Yeah, that could happen.
He goes back home and actually gets to be somebody.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. He might. On the other hand, he might like it.
The look on Danny's face when she looks upon his face when she sees him again with that demon mask tattoo will probably cause him to cut it off.
Maybe, yeah, it could, or he could embrace it as a sign of ending slavery and being a freed slave. He may embrace that as an aspect of himself. Anyway,
Yeah.
so Tyrion definitely wants Penny to wear a great helm, which we've mentioned before, right? We talked about this pretty thoroughly. But Penny's voice echoed hollowly inside the steel. So George likes to hint at female voices sounding different in helms, right? Which, of course, is a Night of the Laughing Tree reference, right?
Right. Well, and it's not. I mean, you stop and think about it. Sir Loras is not big, muscular. I mean, Renly is smaller than Robert, and Renly's armor was bigger than Sir Loras could fit in, so Sir Garland had to wear it. So Loras is not a very big knight.
Almost as if he's the not big brother of the queen, of the younger, more beautiful queen.
Right, but even
strange.
with the trick with the mare, but he still unhorsed Gregor Clegane. All right, that's no small feat. I mean,
Jamie realizes that it was not luck that he beat him. He says, "Oh, it was not luck that he beat me." Yeah, he realizes it. He realizes that Loras is better at knocking people up, knocking men off a horse with a stick than he is.
Right. So size isn't it. It's 3/4 horsemanship. We're told how good.
Yeah, it goes to Charles's theory, right?
Yeah, exactly. So she could be the Knight of Laughing Tree without a doubt.
For those that don't know, our friend Charles has said for a long time that if you look at the description of what happens to skin changers that go after birds, it sounds an awful lot like the way that Elena talks about her husband dying, right? Yeah. That he was lost in the clouds and wasn't looking where he's going, and so the theory being that would explain why Loras is so much better at jousting than Jamie and everybody else.
I think it's like Star Wars, like Force adjacent. They don't know they have the ability, but it's really small.
Yeah.
But like Sandor Clegane with his horse, he falls asleep and the horse still knows where to go most of the time. When he starts to be nice to Arya, the horse starts to be nice to Arya. So, I mean, there's a lot of people in the story that I would call Force adjacent that don't have full skin changer powers, but they're really close. I mean, and then the theory is that if you believe that the next thing that the Hound will skin change, not full skin change, but slowly, like small bond with, will be the Hound at the Quiet Isle. But I mean, I like the theory. I like the Force adjacent people in the story that are really good at Force.
I do too.
Yeah.
So Tyrion again talks about pretending to be dead. We already talked about how that would come back in this chapter again a second time, and it does right here.
I think Littlefinger has Sansa get married, proclaim herself Sansa Stark, and then all of a sudden Tyrion comes back to Westeros.
Yeah, it's too good.
Sansa is married to, because they thought Tyrion was dead, is now a non. They didn't get it annulled. The High Septon.
Pretty good pilot in Star Wars.
Yeah, but it didn't get annulled. They didn't go to the High Septon. They didn't have to because Tyrion's dead. She marries Sweet Robin, Harry the Heir, or Littlefinger himself, and now that marriage is squat. And if she's pregnant and has a child, then if we're correct, like Lady Catelyn, she had a bastard.
Right. So, where was I here? Penny claims that Yezin loved them, and Tyrion thinks he loved us so much that he sent us to the pit to be devoured by lions. Which, of course, I don't think I realized the whole anger flashing with Yezin and Hisdar and what it all actually meant until this reread, which was that Yezin actually was really angry that they were going to be devoured by lions. And meanwhile, Hisdar was angry that they weren't going to be devoured by lions.
Well, his fondness for Tyrion, it probably rubbed the whatever that guy's name is, rubbed him kind of what's the guy who was in charge of him?
In charge of who? Sorry,
the nurse that were in charge of the slave for. No, was it nurse that was in charge of all of them?
Sweets Nurse or Sweets?
Could be Nurse.
Yeah, Nurse was the one in charge. Nurse was the bad one. Yeah. Sweets was the nice one.
So Nurse was underneath when they came back in, was shocked to see them. I don't
Right.
think Nurse liked Tyrion because
Oh no. No.
yeah,
Definitely.
he was very popular.
Yeah. Yep. So
It's such
I just did not understand. Could Tyrion as the color Tyrion tie him to Bravos with the purple snails and dye, etc.? Actually, that's Tyr. Isn't that Tyr that has the purple snails and the dye? I mean, the Bravos like to dress up in flashy colors, but
but the
but
holes in their ship are purple, aren't they?
but the actual dye in both in our world and their world is Tyr, right? That's why the name is Tyr is that's why the name is that. That's why the name of the
Okay.
city is that. Anyway, both in their world and our world. Sansa is one of my favorite characters, and Tyrion was as kind to her as anyone or more, but he won't be the same man, so it's a bit scary.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I agree.
yeah,
Hey,
yeah.
Valentine, the goat.
And good to see you
Our
here. Absolutely.
yeah, yeah, I agree. He's definitely, but he's got to hide all of that from Danny if he's going to be of any use to Danny, and he's probably going to try to trick her the same way he did with Fagon. So yeah, Tyrion coming back to Westeros is not going to be the Tyrion that everybody fell in love with in the first couple of books. So it's going to be a much darker, especially seeing inside a POV character's mind, the stuff that he thinks
Maybe.
of.
I mean, they're definitely big on purple dye in Bravo, so they're definitely big on dressing in purple and stuff. So,
Yeah,
but
don't they have
I
the
do think
purple stripe
I do think it's
hole?
intended to tie Tyr and Tyrion together.
Hmm.
Um, and we already mentioned that Jorah says they're going to die if they don't switch sides, and Tyrion says he'll take care of it, right? So we already talked about that. Up
Yeah.
next is Dance 67, the Kingbreaker.
Yeah, the very next chapter.
Yeah, he finds out that the dragons were loose at the end of the chapter, but that's probably not what's most memorable about it.
For those that have watched our chapter reads and understand that we can't do it the way we did before, with the new format of putting out,
He better not harm Ned's little girl, or we riot. I do anyway.
yeah, you ain't lying. With the new format of going through things in the chapter that either support or go against theories that are out there, or even new theories, instead of going line for line and then pointing out things here and there when we come to it. If you like that, let us know because that's probably the way we're going to have to go.
I don't know that we have any other option at this point.
Yeah, we don't. I mean, yeah, it's just. But I'm hoping that you enjoyed it more. It was a little bit more conversation time and
Yeah, it's a lot more able to talk about theories and things. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I like how much more time we spent diving.
Really look forward to going back around when we start again, doing it the new format way, and all the theories that branch out from the very first prologue to the very first chapter, all the way through them. George says most of what we need is in the first book anyway.
Valencar likes this. He says, I'm here for the analysis. So whether you read the whole chapter, that's the analysis is what he really enjoys. So keep it up. Yeah. And like we said, and as he says, he gets that's what we need to do anyway, but he likes it.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, we're a small channel. We're not like Preston Jacobs or Lightbringer or Gray Area or was it Quinn the GM? I mean, I think he's over 100,000 now too. My 136 subscribers, if that's the number, I can't remember exactly. I can't. YouTube don't care about me, so they would give me a heartbeat. So, well, I enjoyed it. I liked it better. I like the freedom. I like being able to rant. I like being able to go off in a little tangent or a rabbit hole. So I enjoy it.
Thank you. Happy Independence Day.
You too. Everybody have a great 4th of July.
As always, once upon a time, one of the founding fathers, our second president, said that July 2nd, 1776, should be celebrated forever, every year with essentially fireworks and parades. So, I mean, he said July 2nd, which is today, but whatever. Anyway.
Hey, the movie said the 4th. What are you talking about, man?
Well, no, he actually said it should be July 2nd. He said that's when they voted, when they decided that they didn't sign the papers until July 4th, but he said the vote was on July 2nd, and that's when we should be celebrating. So he claims the nation's birthday will forever be remembered as July 2nd, 1776. So that's funny. It's now. Anyway, Bravos produces a unique dark purple dye from a local species of sea snail. Interesting, because that's actually in our world, that's Tyr, isn't it? Founders of the city discovered the snails and used the dye to stain their ship hulls and sails. That's interesting because I thought it was Tyr because I think that's literally the story of. I prefer the new format as well. Kirsty says, "Oh yeah, this was probably better. It's probably a little harder work."
They have a bunch of different colors. They're famous for all the different colored dyes that they have. I think is Tyr. Yeah, Chrissy.
Tyr does too.
Yeah.
Well, it's definitely. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah, we got to wrap up.
Yep, let's do it.
Okay, as always, on our Friday, non-Friday, Thursday episode, I would wish everybody a safe and happy weekend. Enjoy your 4th. We appreciate you being here, and we'll see you Monday. Y'all take care, have fun, and bye. Bye, Richard.
Have a good one.